How do you like yours? Rare, medium rare, or medium?
Medium rare, if I must.
Personally, I like mine raw. Stephen taught me. Tartar.
Another 10 days, and I'll never have to look at a low-cal plate again. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have Elliot, the first day I get out of the hospital, take me to the Colonial Post Inn for dinner. I'm going to eat my way through one of their specials with muffins and pumpkin pie, whipped cream, the works.
Well, tonight you'll just have to put up with the Carson House special. Oh, I forgot. Coffee now or later?
Tea, and later, please. Well, why do you have to eat that rabbit food?
Well, actually, I'm delighted. Do you know I've gained 5 pounds since I married Stephen? You never should have sold me that cookbook, those French recipes. Very bad for the waistline and the budget.
You sound like Elliot. He loves to eat, but he's always complaining.
The trouble is, Stephen is spoiled. I wonder how I can start cooking those good old New England boiled dinners. You know, it's Allison's fault. Remember that suckling pig recipe she... Oh, I'm sorry.
Why should you be? It's good to talk about her. It helps. These last few days, Elliot and I have been unable to talk. We miss her so. I set a place for her tonight at dinner. It's not easy to break a habit.
Oh, Mother and I were very close. I miss her, but it's not quite the same. There was always something special between you and Allison. When I was in school and even before then, I used to wonder what it was. I suppose I sensed somehow that, well, Allison was your whole world. Mrs. Carson, I was jealous. I've always envied Allison.
I suspect she envied you. You're so pretty and so popular, the way you wore your clothes. You know, the day you came into the shop and bought the cookbooks, you were so cagey about it that we said after you left, we bet that you were having Martin Peyton to dinner. Allison said she thought it was wonderful to be so sure of yourself, and she wished she could be more like you, able to plan things and learning to be a hostess for Stephen. She felt inadequate.
How could she? How could Allison, of all people? In school, I think of all the unkind things that all of us ever said or thought about Allison. It was because we knew she was different. She didn't want the same things we did.
Maybe she did. But maybe she was afraid to reach out for them. You know, Betty, it's been difficult for Allison. I didn't mean to deprive her of anything, but I didn't bring her up as if she were an ordinary girl. I had to compensate. So Allison had to be perfect because I'd failed so completely. Or thought I had. That's a pretty big burden to leave on a child.
Mrs. Carson, Allison loves you. And wherever she is, a part of her is with you. She'll come back to you. I know she will. I'll get it.
It might be Elliot. Hello?
Hello, darling. Oh, it's so good to hear your voice again. This has been the longest day. I guess I'm just not used to spending them alone anymore.
I know. I'm lucky. I've had wonderful company. Have you made any progress?
Well, I checked with the police departments and the hospitals, and I called the editors and the publishers. At least she's more than just a statistic to them now, anyway. I mean, I've given them more than just a cut and dried description.
I'm glad you were able to go. It'll make a difference. I know it will.
I know. It's so good to be able to do something. It's much harder for you, I know. How are you, darling? And how's that son of ours behaving, anyway?
Oh, he's very lively. He's going to be a football player.
The police, have they...
No, nothing specific, dear. You know, darling, you know what I'm going to try and do is put myself in Allison's shoes and try and do the things that I think she'd do. Go the places she'd go, like the libraries and, well, the park, museums. This afternoon I went down to our old apartment. I thought she might have made some sort of a pilgrimage, you know.
Did you, find the old place?
No, it's been torn down. I'm putting up some sort of a high-rise.
It was pretty old.
Well, that's all I have to say. I suppose we'd better say goodnight.
Oh, no. Wait, I have something else to tell you. I thought of a name.
You did? Well, so did I. Let's hear yours first.
Matthew. because Matt Swain loves Allison so much, and it means gift of God.
Matthew. Matthew Carson. I like it. Yeah, I like it much better than mine. You be sure and tell Matthew to wait for his daddy, will you?
I will. Good night, dear.
Good night, sweetheart.
Here, I brought you a nice hot cup of tea. Mrs. Carson, what is it? Are you all right?
I guess Matthew's getting a little impatient.
Oh, Rod, what are you doing in there?
I was just seeing Sergeant Goddard about Allison.
Anything new?
No.
Rod, don't expect too much.
What does that mean?
Well, just before she disappeared, she was very upset, wasn't she?
Yes, she was very upset.
Well, under those conditions, it's difficult for the police to pick up her trail, so to speak.
So to speak.
I mean the more rational person. Well, forgive me if that sounds harsh.
You're forgiven.
A more rational person would buy a ticket here,
She didn't have any
buy
money,
a ticket
Stephen.
there, talk to a station agent, get in a conversation with somebody, anybody.
A more rational person wouldn't have gone in the first place.
Rod, Lee Weber isn't responsible.
Oh?
He may be sprouting horns and a forked tail while he sits in that cell, but he had nothing to do with Allison.
Oh, you're sure of that, are you?
I'm convinced, and the DA is convinced too,
Then why are you trying to convince me?
because you were close to Allison.
You know what I think, Stephen? I don't think you're convinced at all.
I just told you.
I know what you told me. But you want some sort of a clearance from me. You want me to say to you, all right, even if you say Lee Weber didn't have anything to do with Allison, well, then he simply didn't have anything to do with Allison.
Can't we put aside our personal differences for a few minutes?
No, you're too clever. But this doesn't have anything to do with you and me. It has to do with your client, Lee Weber, and Allison.
All right. I'm being, quote, clever. I'm trying to crawl out from under my own mistake. I should never have mentioned Weber at all.
Then why did you?
I arranged bail for him. I walked with him through the corridor. I stood with him on these steps outside, and I watched him walk away, a free man. But I still can't help thinking Allison would have gone anyway, even if Weber had remained behind bars.
I can't help you.
But you were so close to Allison. You knew her condition. Surely you'd know if she were disturbed enough to have taken off on her own without any provocation.
Live with it, Stephen. Live with it. Like we all do. Oh, and Stephen, if you get Lee Weber out of jail again, think how much more you're going to have to live with.
Preview from the continuing story of Peyton Place.
You get him here. I just talked to Chris this morning. I got the impression he didn't want to see you.
He's all mixed up, and he needs me out there with him.
You need him.
Betty, call the hotel. Try to reach Elliot.
You dissect me. You run little tests on me in your laboratory to find out what I'm made of and how you can use me.